Some bosses use swords, some use magic, and some walk out of hell itself covered in fire. Today we're counting down 10 actually, not 8, not 7, nah, we're gonna talk about top 10s from now on. We're counting down, yes, 10 video game characters who fought burning demons, infernal monsters, and flame-covered gods, and somehow survived the flames. Number 10, the Tarnished from Elden Ring. God, I like this game. The lands between are already a nightmare. Undead armies, rat gods. Actually, like Malenia. I think it's the hardest boss, but nowadays, recently I've changed my mind into DLC Red Dawn, You know what I'm talking about if you've played Elden Ring, of course. But, cosmic horrors, everything is a nightmare. And then you reach the mountaintops of the giants. Another nightmare begins. That's where the Tarnished faces the Fire Giant, a colossal being tied directly to the fell god of flame. A creature so ancient and powerful that entire civilizations feared its fire. This isn't just another oversized boss. No, the Fire Giant represents apocalypse. His body is scarred by divine punishment. His eye burns with cursed power. Even after mutilating himself during battle, in phase 2, okay. He keeps fighting through pure devotion to destructive flame. And something I discovered was that first in the first phase, you can damage him with magic. Yeah. You can kill the first phase. But when he goes to the second phase, I've done some experiments and found out that the holy damage is the best and the most effective one you can use in phase 2. So that's a very little tip from Susha Prime if you want to play and beat Fire Giant. And the Tarnished walks directly towards him. No divine protection, no chosen one certainty. No, just a battered warrior carrying broken weapons into the face of a living Infernal. What makes this fight unforgettable is scale. The giant's firestorms consume entire sections of the battlefield. Lava erupts from the ground, explosions shake the snow-covered mountains, and yet the Tarnished keeps advancing. That's why I like this game so much. Because in Elden Ring, victory always comes through persistence. God, I like that, even against the God of Fire. But number 9, Kratos from God of War series. Of course, Kratos has fought gods, titans, death itself, so naturally. He's also fought creatures born from flame. Throughout the God of War series, Kratos constantly descends into realms that resemble mythological hellscapes. Lava-filled caverns, volcanic prisons, infernal temples, everything. In God of War 3 particularly, he battles fiery beasts serving Hades and encounters massive flame-covered monstrosities guarding the underworld. Then there's Muspelheim in the Norse saga, a realm made entirely of fire, burning skies, rivers of lava, endless combat trials, and at the center of it all are creatures that feel less like enemies and more like embodiments of destruction itself. Kratos never fears them. That's what makes him terrifying. Do you agree? Most warriors hesitate before infernal monsters. Kratos gets angry. He changes directly into burning chaos with chained blades designed specifically for slaughter. The flames don't weaken him. They remind him of Sparta. And that rage turns every demon fight into an execution. Number 8, we have all the bests in this list. Dante from Devil May Cry series. Dante doesn't just fight demons. He styles on them, just like Bayonetta in the game Bayonetta, of course. The world of Devil May Cry is overflowing with infernal creatures, horned beasts, hell knights, molten abominations, everything. I really liked Devil May Cry 5 because I was little and played Devil May Cry 5 and then 4, 3 and so on. And many of them wield literal hellfire, many of the enemies. But Dante treats these battles like performance art. One moment he's shooting a flaming demon in the face. The next, he's making jokes while surfing across explosions. That contrast is what makes him iconic, because underneath the humor is overwhelming power. Dante himself is half demon, meaning every battle against infernal monsters feels personal. He understands hell because hell is in his blood. Some of his greatest enemies, like Burial, the Conqueror of Fire, are towering demonic entities surrounded by lava and flame. These bosses aren't subtle. They crash through buildings, ignite entire arenas, roar like walking volcanoes, and Dante smiles through all of it. He fights fire demons the way musicians perform concerts, with confidence, with rhythm, and with absolute chaos. Number 7. I said we have all the best in here. The Doomslayer from the game Doom Eternal. If hell had nightmares, it would dream about the Doomslayer. Doom Eternal turns demon slaying into industrial scale warfare. Burning cities, rivers of lava, infernal fortresses. And standing in the middle of all of it is one unstoppable force ripping demons apart with shotguns and chainsaws. Many of the enemies in Doom are literal fire demons, towering hell knights glowing with molten energy, flying infernal beasts, titans emerging from flaming dimensions. But the Slayer doesn't see monsters, he sees targets. That's what separates him from the other heroes. Actually, is he a hero? No. There's no fear, no hesitation, no dramatic speeches, only momentum. The Doomslayer enters hell repeatedly, not to survive it, but to conquer it. And every fire demon he destroys feels less like a boss battle and more like divine punishment. Number 6. Sargon in Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Actually, it's pronounced Sargon in, the ancient Persian. Sargon moves differently from most heroes on this list, He isn't a brute force warrior. If you've ever played this game, you know that. He's fast, precise, and acrobatic, but that speed gets tested against terrifying supernatural enemies tied to Persian mythology and divine corruption. Throughout The Lost Crown, Sargon encounters massive fire-infused guardians and cursed entities burning with ancient power, like Ejdeha means dragon, the thing you're watching right now, This is called Ejdeha. These enemies feel ritualistic, sacred, like forgotten demons sealed away for centuries, and visually, the game turns those encounters into spectacles of gold, ash, and blazing destruction. Sargon flips through collapsing arenas while avoiding explosions and waves of divine flame. But what makes him special is adaptability. He fights like someone constantly improvising against impossible odds. The fire demons in this world aren't just monsters, they're remnants of ancient catastrophe, and Sargon survives them through mastery of movement itself. Number 5. Clive Rosfield, Final Fantasy XVI. Few games understand cinematic fire battles like Final Fantasy XVI, and at the center of it all is Clive Rosfield. His connection to Ifrit, one of gaming's most legendary fire summons, transforms this story into something mythic. When Clive battles fire entities, it feels less like combat and more like two natural disasters colliding. Entire landscapes burn, mountains crack open. The sky turns orange from infernal heat. Ifrit himself is essentially a fire demon of colossal power, a creature born from rage, destruction, and divine energy. And Clive doesn't just face that power. Eventually, he becomes intertwined with it. That duality makes his battles fascinating. He fears the monster, but he also is the monster. And every infernal confrontation becomes a struggle between identity and destruction. Number 4, Link. Little old Link, the Legend of Zelda series. Link has fought monsters for decades, we all agree with that. But some of his most iconic battles happen deep underground in volcanic caverns filled with fire and ash. Yeah, I really like those arenas. One of the greatest examples, Volvagia or Volvagia. I do not know. I cannot pronounce this, but I remember it. A gigantic fire dragon resurrected inside Death Mountain. This creature isn't just dangerous, it feels ancient, a demon awakened beneath the earth. The atmosphere of these battles matters. Lava bubbles beneath collapsing platforms, flames erupt from walls. Music intensifies as Link stands alone against the creatures far larger than himself. We are so little in this game, and everybody else seems so large, you know? And despite being surrounded by literal hellfire, Link remains calm. That's what defines him. Courage, that's it. Not strength, not rage, and not godhood, like the previous video. No, just courage, that's it. The whole game is based on courage, and against towering fire demons, courage becomes its own kind of weapon. Number 3. The Hunter in Bloodborne, the old hunters. Bloodborne turns monsters into nightmares, turns everything into nightmares, even pigeons. Not fantasy creatures, exactly nightmares, yeah. And few enemies embody that better than Lawrence, the first Vicar, if I pronounce it right. A burning cleric beast crawling through rivers of lava like blood and fire. And every other enemy in this game, you can find many bosses, enemies that are on fire. All of them are demons on fire. And all of them are still alive. The hunter walks into his horror armed with little more than cursed weapons and determination. What makes Bloodborne's fire monsters terrifying is how unnatural they feel. These aren't demons from another realm, they are humans transformed by cosmic corruption. Lawrence used to be respected, wise, and revered. Now he's a flaming beast, dragging himself across cathedral floors while his body literally melts apart. And the hunter has to put him down. Not for glory, not for treasure, but because mercy is the only thing left. Number 2. Nero from Devil May Cry 5. Nero fights demons differently from Dante. He's more emotional, more aggressive, and less stylish, but more explosive as well. Throughout Devil May Cry 5, Nero battles infernal creatures empowered by demonic energy and hellfire. Massive bosses erupt through environments like living catastrophes, and Nero responds with overwhelming force. His mechanical devil breakers ignite during combat. I was just, getting killed by that devil breaker. His attacks launch enemies through flaming arenas. Explosions become part of his fighting style. But emotionally, Nero's battles matter because what? Because they're tied to family, legacy, and identity. He's fighting demons externally while also confronting the demonic blood inside himself. That's really beautiful. That tension gives his infernal battles weight, because every victory feels like resistance against becoming the very thing he hates. The video is getting lengthy, I see. Alright, I can endure more than that, because now we're going to announce and come to number 1, which is the Ashen one from Dark Souls 3. Yeah, we had Elden Ring, Bloodborne and Dark Souls. That's good for at least. No game understands fire mythology like Dark Souls, and no character represents endurance better than the Ashen one throughout Dark Souls 3. The Ashen one battles creatures born directly from the Chaos Flame itself, the old Demon King, the Demon Prince. These are the ones I really like, and all of them are on fire. Ancient beings whose bodies are literally collapsing under eternal fire. These demons aren't evil in a simple sense. They are dying remnants of a forgotten age, living ruins. And that tragedy changes the tone of every battle. When the Ashen one fights the Demon Prince, it doesn't feel heroic, it feels apocalyptic. Yeah, that's the right word for that. The arena burns red. Meteors crash from above, chaos fire consumes reality itself, and yet the Ashen one keeps walking forward, slowly and silently. That's what makes Dark Souls unforgettable. Not power fantasy, persistence again. The Ashen one defeats fire demons, not because they are weaker, but because he refuses to stay dead. Last time we talked about characters who became gods themselves. This time they fought creatures straight out of hell. If you haven't seen that Godhood countdown yet, go watch it next. And subscribe for more deep dive gaming breakdowns, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for staying with me through the end of the video. Take care and farewell.